Hi, this is Tiffanie Travels, where we talk about travel, building wealth, and living richer. So, on my channel, you'll find travel vlogs as well as videos for financial independence. So, nothing would make me happier or give me more joy than to hear from you guys and say that through watching my videos, you were able to travel more and also build $10,000 in savings. So I wanted to come on here and chat with you guys. It's been a long time since I've been live on this channel, and I'm really excited to be back. I'm calling it season two. So we're back for season two. Um, I was in Europe for the summer, and so I did not do as many lives as I wanted to do, but we are back on schedule now. And Europe was super, super, super interesting. It was a good time. I was there for a couple of weeks, and I actually had to cut my trip short. I ended it early because I was so fatigued. And I was traveling and I was with my daughter. I was also with my mom for part of the time. But I did not expect to be so fatigued, just getting on and off the plane or just changing airports because we went to multiple cities and we went to Paris, and then we went to Belgium, and then we went to Germany, went to Munich, Germany, and then over to Florence, Italy. So it was a lot of changes. And when I got back, I did some blood work. I had the results of my blood work. They were given to me, and it turns out that I am anemic and I have low iron, which causes me to have less oxygen in my bloodstream, and therefore getting less oxygen to the brain. So that causes fatigue. So that was one of the reasons why I was so tired in Europe. And so, what I decided to talk about more on my channel is living a life of ease and how we as women need to take care of ourselves and need to put our health at the forefront of our planning. So we plan for our finances, we plan for our travel, we plan for our family, and we also need to put our health at the forefront as well. So I did a whole video on that experience of finding out that I'm anemic, finding out that I need additional iron, also finding out that I have fibroids and need a hysterectomy. So I'm going to put a link to that video in the chat here so you can watch that if you want. But I wanted to talk today about living a life of ease. So I watched Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow and Adelia a bunch, and they talked a lot about a life of ease. And even if you're in the United States, you can still live a life of ease. You can still do things that will just make your life more enjoyable. So, one of the things that I think anyone can do is move to a city which suits you. So, for example, I used to live in New York, and New York did not suit me for how I wanted to live and the pace that I wanted to live. So, I like living at a calm pace. I don't like, driving around and there's a whole bunch of people honking at me, or the light just turned. I mean, like the light just turned and people are already honking. Or you go somewhere to park and you can't find any parking spaces. So when I was in New York, it just didn't agree with who I was, like the speed that I like to move. Even walking around in New York, it's just such a fast pace. Just walking, it's so congested always in the streets, and you're in Manhattan, the streets are so congested that it can be stressful. I mean, taking the subway in New York can be stressful. Taking the buses and the taxis in New York can be stressful. Trying to find a parking spot in New York can be stressful. And so just moving away from that makes such a huge difference in just your day-to-day life, your day-to-day energy. I remember I used to do street parking in New York, and I remember that I used to plan my like activities around street parking. So if somebody invited me somewhere, I would think about, do I want to move my car? Like before I would go to that invitation and before I would accept that invitation, I would think about, do I want to move my car? Hey, C. Wilson. I was just saying that it has been such a long time since I've been doing these lives, but I am back. I took a little hiatus over the summer, and it is great to see you. I do miss talking to everyone every week. So I'm just going to pick back up where I started, or where I left off, and do these lives. So I was talking about a life of ease and how your location, like where you are, in what city you're in. Because Stephanie Perry talks a lot about a life of ease, and she's all over the world. But you still can have that while living in the US. So I moved to Florida because it matched my speed. I'm from New York. I was born in New York, raised in New York, and New York didn't match. Like I was just saying how the street parking would be such a stressful thing for me. Oh, you saw my Paris pics. Oh, thank you. She was so, yeah, my daughter was so excited about the photo shoot. It was a really, really nice experience and she loved it. She wants to go back. So we're going back next summer for the food and just to relax. She likes it there. I think it's one of her favorite cities so far. So, the street parking in New York, like it was stressful. I would have to plan around, like if I wanted to leave, I had to really make a choice. Do I want to come back and look for parking? So sometimes I would walk, or sometimes I would like have somebody pick me up because I didn't want to lose my parking spot. That is too stressful of a location to live. Like other things about New York, just the not only the traffic, not only the congestion when you walk, not only the parking, but even just the paying for parking. So sometimes I would go into the city and it would be you have to pay for the tolls to get into the city. And then you have to pay for the parking spots, which would be like $20 an hour at some of the garage in New York. And so I would just be thinking, this is just too much for how I want to live. And so I moved to Florida as part of like just having an easier life, just living a life of ease. And I was 25 when I moved to Florida. It's been 15 years already. And I think it was one of the best decisions for me because it is a lot less stressful, even like financial stress. New York is stressful. You feel like you have to work in order to pay your bills. You have to, because the homes are so expensive, because the groceries are so expensive, because everything is so expensive. Car insurance, everything, it's like there's so much pressure to stay employed. And if you lose your job, it's like, oh my God, how am I going to keep up with everything? But if you move to a less expensive city or a less expensive part of the country or somewhere without, because Florida doesn't have state taxes. Hey, JB. Hey, I was just telling C. Wilson that I missed you guys and I am coming back for our weekly lives and talking about this week. We're talking about a life of ease because I was so fatigued when I was in Paris, and I did a video about it, about how my doctor told me that she says, hey, my doctor told me that I have low iron, and I realized I need to take it easy and we need to talk more about like women's health and just taking it easy. And so that's what we're talking about this week. But it is so nice to see you guys. I did miss like the weekly chats. It's funny. It's like I missed talking to everyone. So, yeah, I was saying how I moved from New York to Florida just because it was easier. It was an easier lifestyle. And also, there's no state taxes in Florida. So people move to like Florida or Texas for the same reason because there's no state taxes. And then also the homes are so much cheaper, or they used to be. When I moved here 15 years ago, you could buy a single family home for $150,000, and now that is not the case. You would have to spend at least 400,000 for a single family home, 500,000 for a nice one. But when I moved here, it was such a like stress reliever. Like it was just moving to Florida. Even when I would get off the I would land in the airport here in Florida, and it would just be so much less chaos compared to JFK or compared to Newark or compared to LaGuardia Airport. It was like going to Florida, the weather is better, it's sunnier, and it's just a calming experience. Even being picked up from the airport, being picked up from JFK is stressful because you have like 2 seconds to find the person you're looking for. You got to go. You're not allowed to double park. You're not allowed to stay here. You're not allowed. And then you get to Florida and it's like, oh, I found the person. This was easy. So I'm just talking about like you can create a life of ease without moving to Mexico, but moving to Mexico might be part of your life of ease. For me, it was moving to Florida, and that was good enough. I feel less stress than New York. Okay. The other thing where people find a life of ease is their job. Like sometimes your job is so super stressful and you're like fighting traffic to go into work, or you don't have enough time to eat, to use the bathroom even, or to take care of your needs. There are jobs where, so I used to be a classroom teacher, and we used to get like 25 minutes for lunch because you get the same lunch time as the students. So it's not like you can have a longer lunch because they only have 25 minutes. And so they're coming back to the classroom after 25 minutes. And it was such a short period of time. There was no time to go get anything. So if you didn't bring lunch that day and you didn't want to go to the cafeteria, you just weren't going to eat. And it was stressful to have such a short period of time and to have to rush. Good morning. Hey, Beverly, how's it going? Good to see you guys. So, we were just talking about a life of ease. Beverly, I first talked about like your location and does it match, does the city match how you want to live? So, I'm from New York, and New York was way too fast paced, way too busy, too congested, too expensive, too much traffic, too much noise, just like honking, too, you can't walk I don't like the subway. So I had to move in my 20s to Florida, and it's a much better experience. And then I was talking about jobs. So even my job up north was super stressful, like just the demands. We would have times where if it was like the end of the year or if it was the end of the our client's fiscal year, that they would ask us to stay later, and we were already working from 8:30 to 6. 8:30 to 6 was the normal hours, and then they would say, during these times, can you come in at 8? Can you leave at 6:30? So I would get to work and it was dark. And because New York, like in the winter, it gets darker earlier. It gets darker earlier everywhere in the winter, but in the north even earlier. So I would go to work and it's dark, would leave work and it's dark. I would get seasonal depression living in New York because the demands for work were just so crazy. And it's like, I don't want to live like this. I knew even in my 20s, like, I don't want to live like this. So I moved and then I found a job that I get out of work much earlier. Like, I get out of work at 3 or get out of work at 4. That is better for my existence, like for my happiness. I don't want to be at work at 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m., 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, missing the sun and just toxic work environments. There's some places you go. Let's see what Beverly says here. What great clarity you had in your 20s saved yourself a lot of stress. Yeah, my dad passed away when I was 19. And so I think I knew really early in life that work isn't everything. He was working to retire early. So he wanted to retire at 55. He passed away when he was 42. So it just taught me, like, you might have all of these plans and they may never come to fruition. And people sacrifice a lot in their earlier years in the hopes that that will pay off in their later years. And what if you never make it to your later years? He would go on vacation a day late. He would leave vacation a day early. So if we were on like a 5-day vacation, he would come a day late, leave a day early, spend a couple days because he didn't want to take off too many days from work. And then when he died, I just realized he should have took them days. He should have took those vacations. He should have taken as many days as he wanted, because you can't predict the future, and your job is not like the most important thing in life. And I knew that, so from a very young age, like from the time I started working, I knew that life isn't just about work. So, yeah, when I was working in my early 20s in sales and technology sales in New Jersey, and leaving work and it was dark. I think that was the worst part, is like leaving work and it's dark. You're like, why is it dark outside? My whole day should not be gone. I shouldn't go to work and then there's nothing left to do with the day except eat and watch TV and go to bed. Like, that should not that didn't seem normal to me. And part of it was just where I lived in the country. You just get darker winters earlier, it gets darker earlier. And part of it was I was at work until 6 o'clock. And people wanted to wait. They didn't want to be the first one to leave. So you're leaving like 6:15. And it was just like, this is too much and not what I want to do. And then in addition to the hours, there's just a level of like toxic nature that is in corporate America. There's so much demand and there's so much, nothing is ever enough. Like your performance is always questioned and it's not enough, not enough. And that kind of energy can be just really draining after a short while. I don't know how anybody could do that for like years and decades of their life. And so when I moved to Florida, I became a classroom teacher. And so I was out of work at like 2 something every day. It was so much better state, better environment, more sun, less traffic. It was cheaper. It was, I had my whole day. You get to work at 2 and you still have your it's 6 hours of sun in certain times of the year. So it's like so much better than what I was doing before. So Beverly says, we're so deeply conditioned here in the US that work is everything. So how wonderful that you learned that it isn't, early in life. Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. Like it is the American way of life. And my parents are not from here. So my parents are from Jamaica. So there is that like cultural difference that we're I think in the culture in the islands, we're more live your life kind of um, perspective or kind of like belief that you should live more. And that's another reason why I moved to Florida is for the social culture. So when I moved here, I was going to brunch like every single weekend. And it was part of the culture. It's a really strong, some cities have a really strong like culture for fun. And I found that South Florida definitely has that. You can go out for brunch, you can go out for dinner, you can go out for happy hour, you can go out for tailgating, concerts. So there's so much. New York has a lot to do as well. But I found that people were so stressed financially and that they were so stressed with trying to make ends meet, just that some of them were working on the weekends or some of them were just tired on the weekends from working so much during the week. Um, that they didn't always want to go out, and the restaurants in New York didn't have the same culture as they do down here. So down here there is like bottomless mimosas. You can stay, you can drink for hours. The restaurant doesn't care as long as you eat. You have to eat and then you can drink and stay for hours. In New York, when I would go to brunch up there, it was limited. They were like stay for an hour and a half and then go. Okay. It was unlimited for an hour and a half. It wasn't like unlimited all day. So that changes the culture. And people are so in a rush. They're so busy. They're so go, go, go that sometimes they don't want to stay the whole day. Like I would go back to New York and visit friends. And you can tell like they have this anxiousness about them where they're not ready to just sit down and stay for a few hours. They're like, what's next? What do we got to do? I got to do this. I got to pick up laundry. I got to drop off laundry. There's like so many to dos that I think it was hard to just relax in that culture, in that New York culture. So those are some of the things for a life of ease, like where you live, your location, your state, your city, does it match your how you want to live? And then the other one, your job, does it match the lifestyle that you want to have? Like are you getting home at the time you want to have? Do you have the demands that you want or is it too much? Is it toxic environment? All of those things are things that you can change. You can change where you live. You can change your job. The other thing is your home. So the home can be like a source of stress or it can be a place where you go and relax and you're calm and it's like a release. So for me, I live in a community where all of the exterior services are taken care of. So my lawn services is taken care of. We have like pressure cleaning on the roof is taken care of. We have pressure cleaning on the sidewalk is taken care of. They trim the trees every few years. I don't have to call anybody. It's taken care of. I need that kind of living situation because I'm not creating time to go out and mow the lawn or rake the leaves or do whatever. So even those things can contribute to a life of ease, like living in a condo where you have nothing to worry about with the exterior. That can be so much simpler versus owning a single family home. So C. Wilson says, yep, she's a big advocate of convenience. Yeah, I mean, when you own a single family home, and if you're single or a single mom, or you don't have the resources to handle all of the stresses that can come with owning a home, it may not be the right situation, because if there's a roof leak, you have to deal with it yourself. If there's a situation outside, if there is roots from a tree that is breaking up a sidewalk, you have to deal with that yourself. If there is, a brick that came loose and it's now a trip hazard, you have to deal with that yourself. And it's like, maybe that may not be the right environment for your life of ease, right? So when I was younger, I lived in a condo, because when I was younger and when I'm and like now as an adult, I was not really doing anything with the home. I'll clean it and I'll hire somebody. That's about as much as I am going to do. I'm not Mrs. Fix It. So I needed to live somewhere where if there's anything, I can just call someone. And so depending on the home, type of home, it's easier in certain situations. Like for where I live now, if I had a roof leak, I can call someone and they have an interest in taking care of it, because it may be a situation with multiple roofs, because I have shared roof. So it might be another property owner as well that's going to deal with the same thing. So they're going to take care of it quickly. So JB says, who wants to be owned by their job? No one. It would be like living a long death. Yeah, I see more young people are rethinking that concept. God bless them. We need young, healthy minds. Yeah, it's true. It's like, who wants to just work? And for me, it wasn't like just work, it was the time. It's like I cannot leave work. It was really causing me depression. I cannot leave work and it's dark. I just, this is not working for me. I need to see the sun. So if I wanted to see the sun back in those days, I had to go outside during lunch. I had to go like sit outside during lunch just to be able to see the sun, like get some sunshine for the day, which is crazy. I just think it's just so weird. So home maintenance, having the right home for you. I'm a big advocate of home ownership, but it may not be for everyone, because of the lifestyle that you want to live. Some people want to have a landlord or want to live in a building where they have a office, like they have on-site management who will come and help with anything. I used to live somewhere where they would do everything. I mean, everything, like even change the AC filter. They would say, okay, we're going to come to your place. We're going to change the AC filter. They would do everything. And I was like, this is nice. This is nice. They would check the AC filters. They would check the smoke detectors. They would check everything. And it's like, all I have to do is pay my rent, and then everything is taken care of. There's so much ease in that as well. So your location, your job, your home, is it a place that is not causing you stress? So another thing, as women, that can be super stressful to us is our hair. So I recently locked my hair. I'm locked now because I needed something more convenient, something that was easier, something that I can do all of the things that I like to do on a daily basis, and I can exercise, and it wasn't going to change. When I would straighten my hair, I would exercise and then it's curly again. Or I would straighten my hair, I go outside. I live in a part of the country that is very humid. So I go outside, it's humid, and now I have curly hair again. I straighten my hair and it's like I go outside and it's a fro. So and then the time commitment that certain styles take. I was like, I'm going into my 40s now. I need to have hair that will be super easy, super convenient, super just like done. I need it to be easy to wash, easy to style, easy to go. And I mean, that is something that would take a lot of time and scheduling. Like, okay, when am I going to detangle? When am I going to straighten? These things, I'm like, I can't do it anymore. So I'm definitely moving into the life of ease and convenience. Another aspect of a life of ease, similar to the home maintenance, is the things like around you. For example, my car. Today, I went to the dealership and I needed a new battery in my car remote. The remote control needed a battery. And I was really concerned because I have a push to start. So I was like, if my battery dies, then if the battery in my remote control dies, then I was like, can I still start my car? I was so confused because they're linked, right? Like they're linked. And I was like, can I still start my car? I had no idea. So I went to the dealership and the service at this particular, it's an Audi. So the service at Audi was so easy. I went in there and I told them what the problem was. They were like, oh, we'll take care of that. No problem. We don't even charge for that. We'll do that for you. It took like 30 seconds. I was in and out. I've been to other companies where you don't get the same level of service and there's things that you would have to do yourself. And I feel like I'm at an age now where I need that convenience and I need that level of service. So there are things in your environment, even like hiring people to help around the house. So hiring a nanny or having the additional service, like for example, flying. Like, is it now worth it to fly first class? Because then, if it's a longer flight, then you can lie down. So, like, I'm at the point where I think my body does not adjust well if I'm sitting upright in a flight for 8, 10 hours. I think I can't do it anymore. I need to lie down just so I can get rest, just so when I get there, I'm rested and I can get my baggage and I can find, transportation and get to the hotel and be clear headed. Because I landed in Paris and I was like almost too tired to function. I was like, I think I can't do that anymore. I think I need to lie down for at least a couple hours if it's a long flight. So, increased services like that can create a life of ease and just a life of convenience. Friends and family. So, it's important to um, Beverly says, I always fly first class and it's worth it. I don't get it often, but when I do, oh, you said it's always worth it to fly first class. Yes, you don't do it often, but when you do, it's always worth it. Oh my god. It's so like it sounds like, bougie or like stuck up, but I swear I was so fatigued when I landed in Paris this last time. And there's been other times where I've taken similar flights, but I've done it in first class and the transition wasn't as bad. So I went to Rome and I flew business class. So I slept and I got there and I was still tired because there's a time change difference. But when I got there, I was like functional. I could do stuff. This time I got to Paris, I was like, I can't do anything. I need to immediately go. I might not even make it to the hotel. I'm so tired. Like I got to the hotel. It was a 6 a.m. We landed at 6 a.m. because it was a night flight. So none of the rooms were ready. They were like, you can go eat breakfast and maybe somebody will check out and we can have a room ready for you by the time you're finished with breakfast. But it's 7 a.m. There's no rooms right now. And I was like, I am going to die. I'm so tired. Can I please lay down somewhere? How about right here in the lobby? Can I lay down right here in the lobby? Like I was so tired. So yeah, like it is worth it. Like I don't know if it's just getting older or like the value, that first class seat has, it outweighs the cons, right? It's like, okay, buy this first class ticket, and yeah, it's more expensive, but you're gonna have the energy to enjoy the trip. Versus when I was younger, it's like, oh, but I'm gonna enjoy the trip anyway, so I'll just book the cheapest ticket. I can't do that anymore. I can't do that anymore. So this is like, I can't. I gotta, if it's a longer than 5, 6 hours, even to the West Coast. I flew to San Francisco. I was so tired. I was like, I can never do that again. I have to do the lay flat seats if it's more than 5 hours. 5 hours or more needs to be lay flat seats. I can't. My body is like, what are you doing? My body was like, what are you doing? It was so funny. But like, yeah, that's part of my life of ease. That's part of the convenience factor, like those services, flights, cars, home, all of the things like around us has to be just easy to use and have like some extra with their service because otherwise I can't do it. I just can't. So, friends and family, this is something that you can observe. Like, how do you feel when you're around that person? How do you feel after you've been around that person? How, do you feel just emotionally, energetically? How do you feel? Do you feel like weighed down? Some people, I talk to them and then I take on like some of their energy or take on some of their stresses. I think their stresses, whatever is going on in their life, or take on their outlook. If you're around somebody and they have a negative outlook and they're just always critical of something, then that could be something to monitor, that you have to like limit time with those people. Just for your own ease, just for your own, like having this life of ease. And then the last thing was diet. So, is your diet contributing to your life of ease, or is your diet making your life more difficult? So, what we have, C. Wilson says, yes, always surround yourself with positive people. Positive people, yeah, who, are going in the same direction. It's very, very helpful. JB says travel is very tiring. Think about when you're my age at 69. I'm just gonna have to fly with the lie flat seats or keep it to under 3 hours. It is so, being in the airport, like, and then I travel with my mom. So she's Jamaican. So she wants to get there extra early, right? So we left Miami. I think we left Miami at like 8 a.m. That was the flight. My mom wanted to be there by like 6 a.m. and we live far from Miami and we had to park. So we were up at like 4 a.m. for this 8 a.m. flight. And it's just become so tiring. Yeah. The whole process of getting up, checking in, going there, and then sitting there, and then, yeah, it is tiring. I don't know, but I'm 69. I'm just going to take 2-hour flights, maybe. I'm going to have to live somewhere where everywhere I want to go is 2 hours away. Okay. So, or just limit where I go. Like my boyfriend, he's 55 and he won't go to Europe because the flight is too long and he has back issues and he just doesn't want to be in he's afraid of flying. He doesn't want to be in the air for that long. So I think like you just change where you go or how you travel. For me, I'm like I can still do 8 hours. I just got to lie down. That's it. I just need to lie down. So, diet. You can always take the long way on a cruise. Okay, so my thing with cruises, I've done them a couple of times when I was younger, and they're so small. Like the rooms are so small. Maybe they have I guess I would have to pay for the upgraded room in order to enjoy it because I was like, this is way too, the bathroom was way too, the bathroom, if I go somewhere and it's like smaller than my own bathroom at home, I'm like, why would I pay for this? So that was my only thing with the cruise is that it's just so tight in the room. And my boyfriend, he loves the cruises. And he's like, you don't spend time in the room. You spend time outside the room. You go to the pool and you go to the restaurants and you do all the activities and you watch the shows. But I still like to come home or come back to a room where there is space. So maybe I would have to find the cruise line that aligns with like the way that I like to travel. And then maybe, yeah, maybe I could take a cruise to Europe. We'll see, like to the Mediterranean or something. So let's see. I agree with your boyfriend. It's an acquired taste. Yeah. So JB says, friends and family, I sometimes feel like I emptied my glass and come back empty. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like tiring. Yeah, I have to like think about it. Think about the energy that I have, who I'm going with, what kind of scene, what kind of environment is it going to be when we go to that place, and what else I got going on in my day, in my weekend. Do I have the time to, be stressed about this person's problem? I have to think about all those things. So, yeah, just something to be aware of with creating the life of ease. And diet. So, diet can impact your lifestyle and impact your energy level and impact your your health. And so if you're not in the best health, then of course you're going to feel fatigued or like you don't want to do things. And I think that's one of the things that people talk about the most when they move overseas is that the food is free from all the hormones, the chemicals, the additives, the flavor enhancers, the salt, the extra sugar, all of those things, and that people see these benefits in their health. And so I've started to eat cleaner because, yeah, my doctor told me that I'm pre diabetic and that I'm also anemic. And so I've been eating a lot cleaner. At first, I had headaches from, I was also eating less. So I was eating less food and also cleaner food. And I think the reduction in the food was causing me some headaches. But that lasted a week or so and they went away. So now I don't have any headaches. But I do feel um, like less cravings for things. So I think um, having a cleaner diet, it's easier to continue that eating habit once those hormones or chemicals or additives, once you haven't had them in a while. C. Wilson says, you're so right about health. Most people don't even drink enough water. Yeah, I suffer from that too. I need to drink. I always have a bottle like around and I do drink it, but I think even that is not enough because I exercise, so I probably need even more um water just to stay hydrated. But yes, so creating that life of ease and convenience even here in the US. So I am so excited that you guys joined me today. And I will be back more often, more frequently to chat with you guys. And hopefully, we can have some guests come on future weeks. And until next time, I will see you later.